trees and all flowers and plants. I was astonished because I've never seen a city that had so much embraced, the native nature so much.
And England started to really change to the worse since the Brexit and then COVID and then the lockdown. So a lot of people moved away.
I miss having a library very close to my home.
I think we were a little bit spoiled in England because you can just get anything.
Negative, we're doing our best to do so. It is a paradise in many aspects, so we just fell in love with it.
I need to sit more upright. Oh yeah. What's not gonna happen?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Morning? Do we publish this in the mornings? I don't know.
Is it?
Do we post this in the mornings?
Yes, the one
Okay.
just came out, which was at 9 a.m., 8,
Okay.
9 a.m.
Good morning then.
Yeah.
I have a general theme, and then I have a surprise question.
Okay, good. Let me just address a couple of things. We have had some comments from the first, but we're shooting the third. This is the third episode now, so we just released the second one, so we don't have questions from the second one. But I have a question here from the first one. I'm gonna put up here somewhere. It's Hungarian, so
We do Q&A first? Okay,
Yeah, so I'm gonna just
let's get
read
it.
it off. It's Hungarian, but I'm gonna try to.
You'll do your best to translate.
Yes. I'll translate it. And so I'm asking why did we decide to come here to Madeira? Why here? Well, first he asked is why did we decide to move, and why Madeira, and what do we miss from England, and what is better or worse than it was in England.
I know the answer to all of those questions.
You want to answer?
Three-folded question.
Yeah, we can go we can go slowly and answer all of them. We have a lot of comments, a lot of people reached out that they enjoyed, we shouldn't worry too much, and then it's nice, it's not the gloomy. We're not doing this to to complain about Madeira. It's really hard to fight something we don't like. That's why we're trying to smell cultural differences properly.
And so that people who came visit us, because there's a lot of people already inquiring how it works so they can stay here and everything. So we just want to give the most honest perspective, most realistic perspective as to what they can expect when they come here, depending on the time of the year as well. So, because instead of just doing marketing and paradise every single day of the year and this is how it is, obviously nothing is really like that, and things vary across seasons, across events and stuff like that. And people who would come here, so for example, to just let go of all the urban noise and just be in retreat and in peace, they would need to know that that's not the weekend for that.
Yeah.
For sure, they could not stay in this house. But many other times of the year, this would be the ideal place for that. So it's just to keep things in perspective and to give valuable information for people who are trying to find the best place to stay.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to write poems about Madeira because it's beautiful, it's nice, it's Hawaiian of Europe, and it's very easy to say nice things about it. But we just want to say a bit more a realistic perspective on them. One of my Stelios commented on the last video about the church bell, who I play basketball with, and said when I go up to Greece, I have the same issue. I have a couple days to use it, but don't worry, you get used to it. And we addressed this in the episodes as well. We are getting used to it, but it might be something you are not used to if you're living in an urban environment or in other countries. Yeah, it's not used to have the bells and stuff like that.
Yeah, even in Portugal, back in my hometown, this would never happen. I think it would, they would ring the bell in very specific occasions, but not as a clock or something like that.
Yeah.
So it
Okay, let's address those questions. So why did we decide to move in England? I think we talked about this a little bit, but we wanted to buy a flat in England first, but the procedure in England is horrible. So it's very hard, very hard process to go through, and eventually we wanted to move away from England to open like a bigger retreat, but it's more like a 5-10 year plan. Was to stay in England, so buy a flat there, stay, still, you know, save some money, and then buy something like a bigger land, a bigger retreat where we can run in the future. But because it didn't work out, and England started to really change to the worse since the Brexit and then COVID and then the lockdown. So a lot of people moved away, a lot of changes we didn't like, and for the price that you can buy a house here, you couldn't buy a 1-bedroom flat there.
Yeah. Well, maybe in other parts of England.
Yeah, but there is no job. So if you want to work in London or Brighton or something, a place where actually work is, then the house prices are crazy. Like a 1 flat, you can buy a house here, and probably most countries, if it's not the capital. Obviously, if you go to Porto or Funchal, the prices are still high.
Yeah.
Maybe not as high, but it's pretty close to it. But if you move away like half an hour from the capital, what you cannot really do in England.
Yeah.
So, but either way, we are not considering to moving to another country straight. But after like trying to buy a flat for like a year, the process was so long.
So to sum up, the answer is we were already considering going back to probably either one of our home countries, but we just skipped a step.
Yeah, it was in our mind. So in 5-10 years, we would rent out a flat in England, for example, and then buy something in a cheaper place, like either migrant in Hungary or in Portugal. It's just make it easier on the language. We were looking for like Italy and some nicer places as well. Yeah, Croatia, but then we need to learn a language, both of us. But if we move back to one of our countries, it will be just easier, even if one of us doesn't pick the language. The one of who doesn't speak picks up the language, the other one can, do the things. And then we just came here for a holiday, and we like fell in love, and we started to looking, and we find this place pretty quickly. So our idea was,
because we were already researching about the island, and that's why we decided to come here on holiday. And we already came with housing viewings booked, so it was very intentional as well in that sense. But we were considering doing the same in other places, and then we didn't really feel the need, because although we are giving you a realistic perspective of how the island is in every single aspect, positive and negative, we're doing our best to do so. It is a paradise in many aspects, so we just fell in love with it.
So we had to skip a couple of years, and obviously a couple thousand euros or whatever pounds. So we couldn't go like full big retreat with a big land. So what we decided to do like a little bit smaller scale, so no more than 4 to 6 people at a time, and to make it very personal rather than in a group fashion. So more for like couples, smaller families, small group of friends, and to make it very personal. Like that's why we include personal training, and if you want to train with a coach, everyone has different goals and different ideas, so I need to pay attention on different people. So otherwise I would rather just doing a general yoga retreat or something, where you can get it, the yoga class you can get it any gym basically in England. Personal training you cannot get, even if you go to a yoga teacher on your own, you're gonna have different issues to address than in a group training. Like you cannot just deal with 10 to 15 people in the same way you can do with 1 or 2. So we rather went to like, okay, let's make this happen in like somewhere in the middle, to have a place where it has like a big garage or something, like a premise where we can open the gym and then I can train people. And they can live with us, but in the house, not in the guest house. Yeah. So we made some compromises because we didn't have the bigger budget. Yeah. But this way we can start doing smaller scale, and if you see like it or people like it, then we can always expand later on.
It's still a two-part plan. In principle, we'll see. Maybe we just like it so much that we just decide to stay like this. But we'll see. It's probably still a two-part plan, but we just sort of adjusted it as you have to do in life, because life would just present you with unexpected circumstances. What was the second and third part of the question?
Second part is like, is what's good or better and worse compared to England? You want to start?
I think there's a lot of good things. The weather, the quietness of this specific place, because if we were in Funchal, probably will be very urban as well, and has this, urban people background noise all the time. But in here is very quiet. We really love it. There's, even if you are in Funchal though, compared to a country as England, which is very urbanized, at least in the areas that we used to live, even the quote-unquote capital, or the main city of the island, is very, very, very intertwined with nature in every single aspect. They kept the nature within the city. There's lots of parks and gardens, and not just like the typical grass garden that you just take your towel and lay down and read. No, like full of great biodiversity, like little animals and very different types of trees and all flowers and plants. I was astonished, because I've never seen a city that had so much embraced, the native nature so much, or make such a big effort to keep it as Funchal did, as any other city in Madeira. So that's amazing. I was very, very fond of that. And the island itself, like, you are close to almost every single type of environment that you could possibly wish. You have the mountains, you have the sea. They are like half an hour apart by car, and like paradisiac sea and luxurious mountain with forests and waterfalls. It has rivers, it has seas. It's just amazing. It's just almost just like magical place. If you go into the nature spots, it's like almost you cross the portal to a little bit of a different world. So I love that, and that's what I miss. That's the third part of the question.
Just what better and worse.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the bad part is it's more like consumerism. if you get used to the speed and the choices, the selection what you have in England, America, or I don't want to say like first world country, but like
high-paced
urban environment. Like you order something from Amazon, is here next day. You have million variety in food and materials and whatever you want. Do you have to dump in your what is it called?
The customer's self, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to tailor back a little, because it's not gonna be like that. Everything is much slower. It's, first of all, it's an island, not like England island. It's an island, and what comes with it is the ferry or whatever. Yeah. It only comes every 3 weeks or so from Lisbon. So if you order something and it's not in the right time, then it's not, because they have to wait until one container fills up, then they put it up a ferry and then they send it to the island. So if the container is not filled up with stuff, you're not gonna receive the stuff. And if you're not in the time frame when they send the ferry and then your stuff gets to Lisbon or Porto, and the next day you have to wait like 2 more weeks until the container fills up. And it's with everything. If you're moving your stuff or you order something, prices are higher for this reason, because everything has to be imported. So we try to think about us like a little bit of minimalist, or we try to if you buy something for a reason, like we don't try to buy everything if you don't need it.
Yeah.
And we try as little stuff as possible, but I think we were a little bit spoiled in England, because you can just get anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And even in food choices, although the food is really good here, something is hard to get by, and you might need to rely more on cooking than eating out. especially as vegan, because like
gonna-
we don't eat meat or animal products. It's really hard to find it here. It's not as caught up that more modern cities.
Yeah.
Like in Brighton, it's like the vegan's paradise. You can go anywhere, any restaurant, they're gonna have a vegan option.
The stores.
Or at least like something fake meat or something usually, but they really care, and they try to take like vegan dishes, not just try to copy some like an old traditional version to vegan version, but you can actually have like really nice food. Coffee, you can always have the best coffees in England, I always say. If you get used to nice lattes and oat milks and stuff like this, fancy
we are kind
things,
of entering the third part of the question, which is
Yeah.
what we miss from England. Let me just touch one thing that I think is less positive here. It's but we already like expanded on that on the first episode, so you can go back and watch in detail what we said about it, which is the way people drive, and then the way that things work as to transport things that you just touched upon. So I think those are the less good things. But it only like really affects you when you need to build something or have a bigger project like we had when we refurbished the house, built the gym and all of that. In your normal life, I think you just have to get used to the offer that is around you, and then you just have to deal that way and just order minimally the things that you really have no access at all. But it makes you more conscious of and you know, more adaptable in that sense. So I think, you know, it's a good thing. That's why we come here, and we knew we would have to deal with those things. One of the things that I really miss from England, and Brighton in particular, is the coffees and the expertise coffees, like lattes, cortados, that type of thing, vegan versions of those, and vegan croissant, vegan pastries. Oh my God.
You just been in England for a business meeting, huh?
Yes, I've been in England. Literally went to the business meeting and the events, came back because the travels are crazy now. It takes me about almost 4 hours to get there, and then in this case I had to go to the Midlands, so 3-ish hours train. So it's crazy. It's just an 8-hour drive. It's not like I cannot just go there and visit people in this circumstance. It wasn't possible.
And otherwise, but did you get the coffee? I saw you had a little sweeteners.
Yes, yes.
The bookshop.
I miss having a library very close to my home.
Yeah.
That's another thing I really miss.
But not the weather.
Not as much, no. The weather, you know, the constant urban noise. Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't miss, but you know, as a whole, it was a good experience to live in England. I always liked to see different things and meet different types of people, different cultures. There's always positive elements you can take from almost any experience. So it was fun. It was nice. I really felt at home. I think we built a home, and we are building it here now. So it's more like a mindset situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved England. I lived there almost 15 years. Comparatively grew up there, yeah.
What is good from England as well, not just food-wise, the openness of a lot of people, or as a whole, how the English society tries to be open, regardless of whether they do it in the best way or not. You know, nothing is ideal, but they really try to like be accepting more and more. At least they try to, you know, become more open-minded and accept all sorts of people, all types of people, all, you know.
Yeah, Brighton is very liberal. if you know, like, if you follow more American stuff, then it's more like, I guess, California-ish, or like more liberal. So it's very, very open-minded and very on the left side, I guess. Brighton is like a bubble in England.
An amazing
it's
bubble.
Like, yeah,
It's very
very,
nice.
very, very different. But that's why it's like it started to change a little bit since Brexit. A lot of people moved away. A lot of people say it's not the same as before. Maybe we're just getting older, but
Probably.
yeah,
A lot.
it's just yeah. You have 2 universities there, so there's like young people, big LGBTQ community, a lot of vegan stuff. So if you know, like this way, they're very, very liberal, and that side is very understanding.
So many interesting people in Brighton.
Very artsy. So many artists moving there just to find their craft or be around artistic people. So it's a very good, very, very, very nice place. And obviously the Brightonian people are very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I'm just having the conversation. Obviously I'm more isolated here because I still don't speak Portuguese. So I don't have much conversation with other people. And if you work in a gym where we have 6,000 members, I have 20 clients per week. So I have a lot of conversation, and now I'm just shooting videos on my own here. So obviously but it's not a fault of like Madeira or something. It's just me. But yeah, I think that's pretty much
that was a very complete answer to the question.
Hope we answered the question. So if we have any other question, let us know, and if we properly address two episodes in forward. In advance. Okay, what you want to talk about?
So one of the things I was going to ask you was something that we already touched upon. I don't know if you want to develop more. If not, I'll ask you about something else. But I was going to ask you about being vegan in Madeira. And we can just develop it a little bit more and say sort of a couple of places that we already found that we really liked, and how easy or how hard it is to be a vegan in Madeira in general.
Yeah, it's way harder than in Brighton. Way harder. If you don't have somewhere to live. So when I came here, the house wasn't ready, so I lived in a hotel, and you have like, you can find stuff in Continent or Pingados or whatever. So these are like a bigger hyper stores.
Yeah, supermarkets, like a chain. Yeah, it would be the Tesco and the Sainsbury's.
Yeah, in England. So you can find stuff there, but usually have like one or two options, and they're usually way more expensive than anything else. So I just bought oats and protein powder and then just eat it every day. Coffee, you can only drink it black in more places. They're not gonna have vegan milk, but and you have to cook. So if you want to eat out, you pretty much have to be in Funchal. There's nothing much. If you're lucky, you have like a vegan option in most like the most famous places of a city. So there's one in Santa Cruz we found, and then
that's very good, yeah. But sometimes they don't have completely vegan option. I mean, sometimes the daily dish is not vegan, it's vegetarian, but they either turn it vegan for you or they give you another option. So it's fine. It's very good. It's called Pimpinelas.
We have one in the Porto Cruz beach. So if you go to surfing, Porto Cruz beach. So if you go surfing, and then there's a beach restaurant there. I think there's one or two dish there. It's basically rice and fake meat. So you might find something, or they turn into you something, but way harder than in England.
In Funchal, there's a few nice places. I really like Prima Caju. But it's like more on the basis of like Buddha balls and stuff like that.
Yeah, Prima Caju it's really Brightonian.
Yeah.
Really Brightonian, and it's really, what is it called? Upbeat or whatever.
Yeah, it's very trendy. It does remind us of Brighton. It has that almost that I don't know. It's not everyone's style, but it has almost that boho chic / indoor nature / slightly rustic, but also trendy. Yeah, hipster.
Yeah. There are places in Funchal you can definitely find, not as much in England. So if you cannot cook, it's way harder. If you can cook, the food is very great here. Fruits, vegetables. You just need to cook. You always have tofu. Not as much options than in England, but still you have vegetables taste so much better than in England. So.
And if you have nice neighbors.
Yes.
If you live in a rural or semi-rural
the neighbors give us so much food from their garden. Then it's like in summer we didn't even went to shop sometimes for a week. So if you can cook, you'll be fine. If no, a little harder. There is a WhatsApp group called the Vegan Community or something. You can join, and they give you a lot of tips and ideas. And there are some people who cook and they can deliver to your house as well. So you have options to join to the community, and then you'll be fine.
I think that's one of the best tips, actually. If you want to come to Madeira and live for a while in here and you're not sure where to find things, that's a good group to join. If you're vegan, of course, that's a good group to join. And even if you're not, maybe you might not be vegan, but you like to eat vegan food now and again, or healthy food, those people will direct you to pretty cool places and experiences. So it's a good one. It's a good one to follow or to join. Yeah. So yeah, in sum, it's not that hard unless you have no place where you can cook for yourself, and then it's just dependent a little bit on whatever the restaurants have on that day. Sometimes they only have one option. Sometimes it's just like a salad, and you might want a proper meat and potato sort of meal, and you might not always have access to that unless you know the places where you can go and grab those things. It's not like Brighton that you can just enter anywhere and it will serve you something nice.
Yeah, you need to go to the place first.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's good in general, really. You just need to adapt to live differently, but that's the beauty also of moving places, isn't it? Because we already talked about this a lot. Nowadays, when you move amongst or between different European countries, sometimes it kind of almost looks like you haven't moved almost at all, apart from language and a couple of little specificities. But you have always McDonald's and all these things, and you have Starbucks, and it just seems like you're in the same place.
Yeah, I always say like Europe looks so much the same. Like I've been in a lot of countries in Europe, and the big cities, they're always the same. All looks a little different language, but you always live the same stuff, and there's not much difference between big cities. So if you can go somewhere more rural, and if you want to really go to the roots of a culture, then you need to go a little bit rural and a little bit farther away from big cities, and it's come with a little bit slowless and less options, but that's how it was before,
And that's how you get the motivation to actually explore whatever exists, because you don't have every single little, comfort thing that you were used to before. So you need to actually go out and see, okay, how can I adapt to live here, and what's the things that I actually like, the things that I don't like as much. And yeah, it motivates you to know the place.
Okay, let's cut it off. We're going a little too long. They have a client coming in. So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and then we try to address it in the next episode. Anything to add?
That's all. See you in the next one.
Okay, bye.